of years ago, I had done punk versions of the Avengers that got super popular on Tumblr, and I was getting calls from editors. That probably actually played a big part in getting the call about Black Canary. My name is Cara McGee. I'm a freelance comic artist and illustrator, and today I'll be drawing Black Canary. So I have a sketch started already, and when I'm at conventions especially, I do a lot of pre-sketching with just a normal highlighter just because I kind of like the bright colors that it adds, and also it's just like a really easy way to lay down basic shapes and kind of like a guideline of what I'm doing. And normally I'll draw over this with just a blue pencil, which unfortunately I didn't have with me today. So I've got just regular pencil that I'm gonna have to erase after I ink. So right now I'm going in with this brush pen, a pretty fine tip brush pen. The eyes are, for me, the funnest part of the drawing. I don't know why. I think it might have a lot to do with my very obvious like manga and anime influences growing up. My first comics I ever read were back when Viz and stuff used to publish like the floppies of Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z. You couldn't even buy graphic novels back then of manga and stuff. It was so hard to find. So like it was always a special treat if my mom managed to find Sailor Moon in a bookstore randomly somewhere. And it's been so wild to see over like the past 15, 20 years how that market has just exploded for manga and like comics aimed for different audiences, like especially girls. I was super lucky. One of my local comic shops where I grew up in San Antonio would get untranslated Japanese manga. And so I was that nerd who would buy stuff in Japanese, not being able to read it, and just obsessively study the art in it. And eventually I kind of started learning Japanese just to read these comics. Eventually, my taste expanded. I started reading a lot of X-Men in high school. I was obsessed, especially with Nightcrawler. Was my favorite character. Nightcrawler and Gambit. Gambit, I would still, like, that's one of my dream projects, honestly. I would kill to do a Gambit run. But right now, my most recent project is Black Canary. It is part of DC's new young adult line, DC Ink and DC Zoom. And I'm super excited about it because I think a lot of kids that age probably aren't as familiar with the Black Canary character as, you know, people my age who might have grown up with the Justice League cartoon and stuff. So this is like a fun introduction to Dinah and Black Canary. It was written by Meg Cabot, who is amazing. She's the writer of Princess Diaries. Drawing comics, I feel like every other day I kind of have a private fangirl freak out moment where, you know, it's hard to believe I actually get to do this for a living. So drawing Black Canary with Meg has just been amazing. And it's such a fun story too. It's very much a YA kids comic, but with a superhero bend to it. It's young Dinah who's in middle school, and you know, she's that age where she's just kind of struggling to be herself and find out what that means and make herself heard, which, if you know anything about Black Canary, isn't super hard. In fact, it's probably harder to be quiet when other people want her to be quiet. I love her so much. She's such a sweet character in this book. She's like everything I wanted to be in junior high. Just this cool kid with really good friends who love her, and like she's so earnest, and she just wants to kick butt and do right by her parents and her friends, and she dresses really cool. One of the things I was worried about when I started on this book, because it's very intimidating going from drawing a lot of solely kids comics for like Boom and stuff, which is great, but now like superhero comics are so intimidating in their own way, and I had to kind of not exactly redesign Dinah, but make her more appealing for a middle grade audience. So instead of her traditional like sexy fishnets and leotard, which is still kick butt costume, I kind of aged it down a little bit. Instead of like the black leather jacket, I gave her this cool bomber jacket with cool Black Canary embroidery and stuff on it. And it was really important to me that little girls could easily cosplay this. It was such a big part of the characters I liked growing up, with designs like Robbie's Spider-Gwen and stuff. I just love this trend of artists being very aware of cosplayers and what their creations will look like on actual people. And I wanted Dinah to look like a cool 12-year-old girl that other 12-year-olds would think was really cool and like want to dress like. So hopefully I did all right. That's not coming out until November this year, so I have a while to wait to see how that goes. I've done a lot of YA titles. It's pretty much what I'm known for right now, I think. Last year I did a book with Boombox called Dodge City with Josh Trujillo. And it was such a fun comic. Again, I grew up reading sports manga and stuff too, so this was like my dream sports manga project where I got to just draw really cool kids playing dodgeball and like looking cute. It was such an important title to me because we got to draw like the most fun, diverse characters ever, and I like grew super attached to them, so I'm hoping we get to do more of Dodge City in the future. I also did the Over the Garden Wall comic for a year or so, which was so fun. It's so fun working on properties like that mean a lot to me, that are like just super cute, so fun to draw. I first started working in comics, doing a lot of comic book covers actually. I was very active on Tumblr, particularly a number of years ago, and editors saw a lot of the fan art I was posting online for Adventure Time and stuff like that, and they're like, hey, do you want to do some Adventure Time comics? Which of course I did. So I started doing covers for those, and I went on to doing some shorts for like the clearance comics and covers for Lumberjanes and all sorts of cool stuff. I obviously switch up a lot with the tools I'm using in any given project. It's actually been quite a while since I've gotten to ink anything traditionally. I did Black Canary, was all done digitally. I used Clip Studio or Manga Studio for the entire book, except for the one day when my power went out and I had a page due, and so I had to do exactly one page in the book all inked. And hopefully nobody will be able to tell which page it is, except for my editor. I draw a lot of flowers into whatever I'm doing, but I think the writer Meg knew that about me, and so she conveniently did a couple of scenes in a flower shop, which was very nice. So I got to draw a lot of flowers for that. I feel like with Dodge City and Black Canary, one thing that both of these books had, which I'm over, is bleachers. Like, I know a lot of artists say that their least favorite things to draw are cars or horses or buildings, and yeah, those are a pain in the butt too. But I will tell you, bleachers are not fun to draw. I don't like to read ahead very far in whatever script that I'm working on, so there were definitely moments in Black Canary where people would be revealed. I was like, I didn't see that coming. I was not planning on drawing this particular person, oh no. But it's so fun. A lot of these pens come from this Japanese store called Daiso. It's in Japan, obviously, but there's a few shops on the West Coast too, like in LA and Seattle, and so anytime I'm near any Daiso, I buy a million of these pens. It's cool if you go to comic conventions these days, the attendees, half of them are women and girls, and I don't think people really realize just how big that audience is. I consistently just have lines of girls at my table whenever I do conventions. They're so sweet and they're so excited to get things because I obviously cater to female audiences. You know, I draw hot dudes and strong female characters. I think, you know, there's definitely a lot more artists now doing that. We're getting some really, really cool characters these days, and a lot more female creators getting a chance to tell these stories, which I think is a really big, important part of it, is letting the right voices tell these stories. Usually if I'm working traditionally, I tend to stick with watercolor a lot. But Copics are nice because they're super portable, they run so smoothly, and they blend so well with other colors. Some details for big anime eyes. It's one of the best parts about doing this and doing kids comics and YA comics in general is just having kids come see me at my table at conventions and just be so excited about stuff I've done. I have the cutest Over the Garden Wall cosplayers come to my table, and oh, it's so good. It makes everything worth it. It makes all the long hours and like trying to hit deadlines, all that hard work is totally worth it. Okay, so we're just gonna keep this super simple and loose. So the colors on Black Canary I'm super excited about because we have Caitlin Quirk is actually the colorist, and she's done other titles like Moonstruck, and we were super excited to get her for this. And I asked, and this is super nerdy, when she started coloring, I was like, I really want like the 90s Sailor Moon anime palette, like really soft pastels and like not shimmer so much, but like lots of pinks and purples and turquoise and stuff. At first my editor was like, I don't know about that, it might be kind of weird. But Caitlin has just killed it. She made it work so well. So I'm Cara McGee, and today I drew Black Canary.